Module 7, Managing Change. District 73 Club Growth Director, Distinguished Toastmaster, Namrita Anchan from Mickleham, Victoria, Australia, will be sharing with us what it takes to manage change, something all our coaches are keen to learn. Please join me in welcoming Namrita.
Thank you so much, Kayleen. Good afternoon, one and all attending this club coach training session today. Welcome to Module 7, where you will be learning how you can manage change while being a club coach. Let's look at what we have here. We have a succinct agenda aligned for you in this session. Why does change occur? What can you do as a club coach? There will be a short game, or call it an exercise, that we will be playing together as a team in this session. We will learn some tried and tested change approach or strategy that we can use being a club coach. And lastly, we will end the session with a short Q&A round. Let's look at why does change occur in clubs in the first place. There could be n number of reasons. So professional futurists have through the years boiled down all the various change theories down to about 10 basic classifications. What we have done here is try to see them from a club lens and have tried listing few of the common change triggers in a club environment. So what happens after a point in time in a club? Sometimes lack of interest seeps in and a change in energy level or activities is observed. Sometimes there can be too many new ideas from new members that leads to a significant change in the club functioning. Sometimes there could be conflict that arises because of, let's say, differences in opinions amongst the club members. Sometimes chaos seeps in a stable club environment. And this and the other one is a common one. Change happens when there is a new leadership within the club. And this happens every year. Sometimes absolutely unknown circumstances occur and a club undergoes a major change in every aspect of its functioning. And last but not the least, and this is my favorite one, change occurs as a direct cause of an improvement implemented within the club. Well, the image that you see in black and white here will be the situation of a club if it does not undergo any change. I repeat, this is how your club looks if it does not undergo any change. What happens when a change is a common occurrence within a club? New energy and a new vibe and enthusiasm is observed in a club environment, which is very important for a club to thrive and to fall in the category of a healthy club. However, change is not easy. It comes with its own repercussions and challenges. And what can you do as a club coach when the club is struggling to keep up with every changing, unmanageable club situation? Now, being in the shoes of a club coach, it is one of your main duties to dig in a bit and identify the major change aspect in the club. Just as Mitzi mentioned in the previous session, that ask those questions. It could be, so the change aspect in the club, it could be anything. For example, change in leadership, as we discussed in the previous slide. It could be that there are only 5 members left in the club and you don't have the member power to run a successful meeting. Identify the root cause first. List down the challenges the club is currently facing. Let's continue with the example of a member loss problem. Not able to find new members. Let's say VPPR and the VPM have resigned, which usually happens. Now, once you have listed down the challenges of the club, it's time to list down the advantages or good things that the club still has. For example, the president and the VPE of the club are determined to bring back the club into action and is ready to put in the hours and commitment required to make it happen. So identify those strengths, identify those strong points of the club and list them down, which will give you clarity. Now, once you have all of this, it's time to sit down and discuss these points with the club executive team. When things are written down and when you start to brainstorm over a problem for a solution as a team, solutions start to emerge. And that's what you have to do with your club executive team. Start small but strong, which means start with picking 2 advantages that you can go on to make stronger. For example, take the committed president's passion and assign him or her to work on bringing new members to the clubs. Just as you started with 2 strong points, now take on 2 weak points. And make sure the executive team is actively working on those 2 weak points of the club on priority. Now, while this remains as your ongoing activity day after day as a club coach, you need to make sure you being the club coach are tracking the growth stats at least end of every 3 months. You as a club coach need to project the growth and the change that this activity has made in a certain amount of time from when you have stepped in as a club coach. This lets you yourself track your progress as a club coach and also encourages the club to analyze the situation and go in the right direction in terms of growth. Now, while I have done all this talking, let's play a quick game to experience firsthand a very simple yet thought-provoking change feeling within you. Can I please request everyone in this session listening to me today, please, can you cross your arms like this? I hope I'm visible. Fold your arms together like this, as if you're bored or probably waiting for something. Okay. I hope everyone's done that. Now, can I please request you to fold your arms the other way, please? Reverse of what you just performed. So this is this. Now the other way, please. I'm going to give you a few more seconds for everyone to do that. Okay. I can see that most of us kind of struggled with the second task, didn't we? A bit, I think so. Well, great job, everyone. And thank you to everyone for being so sporty. Here, let me ask you some questions. And please feel free to unmute and give your very short one-word quick replies, please. Don't be shy, just be confident and shout out the one-word answer that comes to your mind. Ready? Okay. How did it feel when you were asked to cross your arms the other way?
Weird.
Awkward.
Uncomfortable.
Comfortable.
I have to think about it.
Right.
Backhanded.
Cambuston.
Thank you. Thank you.
Why?
Why? We'll soon come to that. Did it come naturally, or did you have to stop and think about it?
Stop and think about it.
Stop and think.
Think about
Unnatural.
Stop and think.
Unnatural.
Unnatural.
Organize myself.
Perfect. Thank you. Were you comfortable with doing this differently from your normal process?
Eventually.
Yeah, uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable.
Eventually okay.
Eventually, okay. Perfect. What are some things that make people resistant to change? One word.
Comfort.
Comfort. That's a good one.
Familiarity.
Familiarity.
Discomfort.
Discomfort.
Fear of
Thank you.
the unknown.
Yes,
Fear of the unknown.
fear of unknown.
Don't see the purpose.
Can you say that again, please?
Don't see the purpose.
Don't see the purpose. That's
Lack
a
of
very good.
confidence.
Don't want to fix it.
Sorry, can you say that again, please?
If it is broken, don't fix it.
Lack of confidence.
Lack of confidence. Brilliant. Thank you so much, everyone. There are more 2 questions for you. What can you do to make it easier for people in your club to accept the changes associated with, let's say, struggling clubs?
Change small.
Change?
Small.
Educate.
More. Educate. Brilliant. Give me one more word.
Inform.
Inform. Awareness. Create more awareness. Perfect.
Show how.
Show
Re-
how. Show
reason.
how. Reason. Give them a reason. Brilliant.
Show the benefit.
Buy-in.
Demonstrate.
Demonstrate. Can you say that again? Before demonstrate, what was that?
Buy-in.
Benefit.
Buy in
Yes. Everyone buys into the idea.
to the idea. Perfect.
And show the benefit.
Ensure the benefits. Exactly. Thank you. And the last question, what kind of support is necessary to maintain the changes within a club? What kind of support is
Constant.
necessary?
Persistence.
Someone said consistent?
Persistent.
Persistence.
Persistence. Exactly. Persistent.
They feel
Attain
about the new change.
Deal with change?
Ask how they feel about the way the change has happened.
Exactly. Exactly.
Reassure them.
How they're feeling. You need to know if they are doing well or if they're facing any problems.
You also need competent leaders, like with the things like demonstrate, show how. You need people that know how to do it.
Exactly. You need examples. You need a person who they look up to and, are encouraged to probably be like them or have the same kind of passion towards the same cause. Exactly.
Willingness.
Willingness, of course. Willingness, commitment. Oh, that is the most important one. Nothing happens without commitment. Okay, thank you so much. I hope this exercise was helpful. Just as this exercise that we just did, it is very natural to do well for clubs when things are normal. But things become unclear as soon as there is a slight change. When you were asked to fold your arms the other way, for the most part, you stop, refolded your arms again, and then try to figure out which arm was on top probably, which arm moves first, and so on. Same is the situation with clubs. This creates a lot of chaos that leads to, so change creates a lot of chaos that leads to clubs not doing well initially. You as a club coach have to see and study every club situation in this manner and then provide all the support you can do to the club. So a quote that you might have heard a lot, which is considered to be the universal truth. Change is the only constant, my fellow Toastmasters. And why I brought this up, because this is a clear segue to our following change approach, or call it the change strategy that we can use as a club coach. Since change is inevitable for Toastmasters Club, we need to really embrace it and work around it. So let's do that by probably understanding Lowin's change management model, which can play a significant role for you as a club coach. If you have, let's say, a large cube of ice, but realize that what you want is a cone of ice, what do? Probably I should have used a cube rather than a cone directly. First, you must melt the ice to make it amenable to change, isn't it? You need to unfreeze. Then you must mold the ice water into the shape you want. That is, you need to change. And finally, you must solidify the new shape. You need to refreeze. By looking at change as a process with distinct stages, you can prepare yourself for what is coming and make a plan to manage the transition, looking before you leap, so to speak. All too often, people go into change blindly, causing much unnecessary turmoil and chaos. So to begin any successful change process, you must first start by understanding why the change must take place. And as Lowin put it, motivation for change must be generated before change can occur. One must be helped to re-examine many cherished assumptions about oneself and one's relations to others. That's what he said. Now, this is the unfreezing stage from which change actually begins. Let's look at each of the stages carefully now. Unfreeze. The first stage of change involves determining what needs to be changed in the club. Ensure you are able to provide all the necessary support to the club. Create need for any new change if need be. Align executives or members to manage and understand doubts and concerns. And that's how you can unfreeze. The next stage is change. After the uncertainty is created in the unfreeze stage, the change stage is where members begin to resolve the uncertainty and look for new ways to do things inside the club. Members start to believe and act in ways that support the new direction provided by you as the club coach. So please remember that the transition from unfreeze to change does not happen overnight. Members will take time to embrace the new direction and participate proactively in the change. So patience from your end is key here. You can do that by ensuring that communication is maintained regularly between the members. Try to dispel any kind of negativity or discouraging rumors, such as the club is going to dissolve and won't be able to come back to its charter strength even. While you get rid of such discouraging ideas, I would suggest empower action. Encourage members to work on the task in hand on priority. And lastly, involve members constantly in the process. And last, refreeze. How will you do that? When the changes are taking shape and members have embraced the new ways of working, the club is ready to refreeze. The outward signs of the refreeze are a stable club performance dashboard, consistent member growth, members completing educational levels, and so on. How can you ensure refreezing? Anchor change culture within the club. Develop ways to sustain the change. Provide support and training to your executives and members. And lastly, don't forget to celebrate all the successes throughout this change journey. As a leader, I would suggest you keeping an accomplishment or appreciation a table or a chart for yourself. That would be really handy at the end of your leadership journey. The rationale for creating a new sense of stability in our ever-changing world of Toastmasters is often questioned. Even though change is a constant in all clubs, this refreezing stage is still very important. Now that we have looked at a few ways we as club coaches can manage change successfully, let's take down two significant action plans for ourselves. First, your primary job as a club coach is to erode the fear of change from the existing members of the club. Fear is not much of use in times of change. Yes, it helps you be cautious, but you have to step into the new world try new ideas and techniques and grow your club. So first and foremost, work on removing fear from their minds. And second, learn and teach the members to embrace change. Be it whatever the committee and yourself as the club coach decide on, embrace it and make sure you're giving your 100% to this change. So to summarize a session on change management for a club coach, understand why and what change has occurred in the club. I would suggest use Lowin's change process. And lastly, make change as the club culture. And with this, we have come to the end of our managing change session, and the floor is now open to you, to our lovely audience attendees for questions.
So feel free to raise your hand or put the questions in the chat box.
I have put my question in the chat box.
So can you show the summary slide again?
Is that Adrian? Yes, I know how to anchor changes in myself. How do you anchor a change in a club? If I may answer that, Adrian, the best way to do that is to first get really up close and in touch with your club executives, the existing club executives, and make sure you build a good rapport with them and try to understand what exactly the issue of the club is, what are their strong points, as I mentioned earlier in our session, and try to understand. And then, as Kayleen mentioned earlier in the session, pause and then analyze the entire information that you've got, the issues, the root cause. Take all that and pause and analyze that, and then come up with a solution, present it to your executive clubs, present it as if you are a third person. That's very important, because sometimes what happens is when a club coach tries to help a club, sometimes some clubs would resist your ideas directly. If you try to just share your ideas, they would resist. So in order to avoid that kind of situation, suggest, this is what I think from an outsider's point of view. This is what we can do to improve your situation in the club, and make sure that, they are buying into the idea. That's what I would do as a club coach. And I think so that's the best way to imbibe a culture of change within a club, starting with your executive team, with your core team, because they are the ones who will be reaching out to their club members. I hope to some extent I was able to answer your question. Thank you.
Thank you.
I love the analogy of reshaping ice shape. Change is a process with different stages. I will use that. Great presentation. Thank you so much, Alicia. Any other question? I hope everyone is going to do this and this. Probably you can do it with a club executive when you go as a club coach.
Namrita?
We have Jenny Owens has her hand up, and then we've got David as well.
Thank you. Namrita, just a perfect example that you want to use, not making great changes, but every single person has done it with the COVID environment. We have gone from handshaking to either a fist pump, holding your hands alternately. So you can give that as an example to say how everybody has actually made a change without even really realizing it, but they've all been into it together.
That's a really good one. That's a really good one. I myself now, when I go to think how easily we did that, right? Without even thinking.
That's correct.
And that's how easy a change could be if it's accepted. Perfect. Thank you so much, Jeanine.
And we've got a David, I think it's Miller.
Thanks, Kayleen. Namrita, hi, Dave from District 112 in New Zealand. You've talked about You talked about change a lot. Do you think it's possible to be coaching a club that doesn't need to change too much and just needs support to keep doing the good things they're doing?
Yes, that's very important. And you have raised a very important point there. Yes, there would be clubs where you wouldn't need to change anything. You would just need to provide them support. The support could be in any way. It could be probably emotional support to the club members. It could be a district support that you would want to probably help them with. So of course, yes, a change could be in a form of support as well. Absolutely. I hope I've answered the question, David.
Oh yeah, that's good to know. Thank you. That's the
Absolutely.
situation I'm lucky enough to be in at the moment. So it's good to have that confirmation.
Thanks, David.
So there's a question from District 87. Booney.
Booney, could you share from your experience your biggest challenge in managing change, and what is the success story, as in how did you manage in specific reference? Booney, that's a brilliant question there, especially coming into the leadership role of CGD in year 2020 was, I think, so one of the biggest thing that could happen. No document or nothing that could probably give us a solution how to deal with a global pandemic like this, and sitting in front of our computers all day on Zoom meetings and not being on stage and making sure the entire club is having that kind of energy, or probably going home with a sense of accomplishment from that meeting. This is one of the biggest example I could give. How did I manage it? And there is a success story, because we are still, Toastmasters is still happening. None of the meetings got disregarded. All the meetings are still ongoing. And now we are coming back in person, and there are new members joining in. That's the biggest success story I could probably share, how we survived through this. How I manage this? Well, I think so. One thing that is very important is determination and commitment to anything that you do. If you have that kind of commitment, you can go through any global pandemic or anything in general. So I think it's all about having that commitment within you as a Toastmaster, and making sure you are giving out that kind of energy to your members or whoever you come across within Toastmasters as a member. So I hope I've answered that question, Mooney. Okay, what do we have? Do we have any more? Sally, do we have any more questions? So wants to, oh, we have one more, Mitzi. Any suggestion when one officer wants to change and another doesn't? This is a suggestion would be that probably have a conversation one-on-one with both of them, understand why one doesn't want to change and one is so open to change. Once you have that information, I think so you yourself need to pause. You need to understand that how you can make the person who's not open to change understand what are the benefits of probably going through the change. And then I would suggest the best way to do this and the fair way to do this, have an executive meeting and vote in. But if that's not what the club wants to do, then probably have a conversation with both the officers. And that would be another way wherein the officer that is open to change might share that why is that change important, and probably that could help the one who doesn't want to change look things in a different perspective. Okay. Thank you, Mitzi, for that question. Do we have any more questions? Do we still have time? Or are we done? I think so, we're done.
You got, yeah, 54 seconds.
Ooh. I think so. This is a good time, and thank you for all the questions, brilliant questions, and thank you for participating in the little exercise we did. This was a complete pleasure conducting this session on one of my favorite topics today, and hope you could take away something beneficial from it. Hope the session helps you in your club code journey and helps clubs flourish across the globe. Thank you and have a lovely afternoon. Over to you, Kayleen.
Thank you, Namrita. Change, something that can be uncomfortable, but something that is constant, not just in Toastmasters, but in our life. That was a really interesting session. I like the unfreeze, change, and refreeze. It's a simple image that I can take away. And somebody mentioned about people being uncomfortable to change, and Namrita offered the one-on-one. Absolutely. There's often something behind why somebody is resistant to change. It may be because they've got a different solution that they may want to put on the table, or it just may be that they're feeling a bit vulnerable because of, like, that arm activity, which I realized I actually just changed to the exact same thing. So I really didn't do good at changing that example. But yeah, there'll be something deep down in them. So asking a few questions of them, what comes up for you when you hear that we're looking at doing this change, and pause. What are you concerned about? Another question, pause. Just little questions like that to just help them uncover why it is impacting them the way it is. And then, as you said, it's a team effort. You can embrace change in your club. As a coach, you can influence that change in the clubs that you are coaching. And when the club has a change culture where they're willing to do it and grow and continually focus on change and developing themselves as a club, that is when you are setting your club up for long-term success. So thank you, Namrita, for that fabulous session.